Micah Parsons said after the game, I don't think the 49ers are at a higher level than us. I think we're the same caliber playoff team, same talent, same standards. I just feel like we need to reconsider and fix some things. The score doesn't really show what happened out there. What was the final score again, Jason?
42 good guys, 10 losers.
Ah, that's interesting. New Sprint Right Option podcast starts now.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Right Option podcast. Oh my goodness. It's a special lunchtime episode of the Sprint Right Option podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by Jason Aponte. And I guess all I really have to say before I turn it over to my good friend Jason Aponte is the 49ers are a wagon.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. We're starting a new Victory Day tradition. Andrew has the hat.
Okay.
Jason wears the towel with the hat.
Okay. I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
Last night's post-game show had zero analysis in it. Zero. It was literally me. It was literally me 22 minutes ranting about how the Dallas Cowboys suck and how they are now behind the Detroit Lions in the hierarchy of the NFC.
Yeah.
And how they are not like that.
No.
And how the 49ers are, in fact, objectively like that.
Yes.
But yeah, that was with the post-game show. I think today's a little bit more level-headed. We'll still make fun of the Cowboys
because there's a lot to make fun of.
Because they absolutely suck.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit more now that we've dug into the numbers, and I want to highlight some performances that I feel like got lost in the shuffle, based on us just laughing at the Dallas Cowboys and how terrible they are.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and unfortunately, we have a very strict hour deadline because your boy is on lunch right now. So we're going to get as much out as we can. Jason Aponte, let's just dive into the game, huh? I like to throw out the quick little scoring plays. The 49ers, they open the scoring early. They're going to hear that a lot. They open it early with a George Kittle 19-yard touchdown pass on the first drive of the game, 7-0. They hold that lead until the start of the second quarter with the Niners taking a 14-0 lead. George Kittle, another touchdown reception. You might hear that one more time. Kevontae Turpin responded quickly for Dallas to make it 14-7. The game was over from that point on. Christian McCaffrey, a 1-yard run to make it 21-7 heading into the halftime. Brandon Aubrey, the Cowboys rookie kicker, makes it 21-10, really closed the gap there before the Niners go. Kittle touchdown, Juszczyk touchdown, Jordan Mason touchdown to end the game 42-10. I want to start with just the beginning. I don't know why, or I want to start with the end real quick because I don't know why I thought this was funny because we got the blowout that I thought was going to happen, maybe a little bit bigger of a blowout than I thought.
And you were absolutely right. I definitely did not believe that was what was going to happen.
I didn't think. Listen, I don't know if 31-20 is necessarily a blowout. I didn't expect this. This is, but I don't know if you noticed, Chase. The game was over. We kind of stopped paying attention. Dallas gets the ball back with 1:54. They run the ball. They run the ball. They run the ball. And then with 11 seconds on 4th and 18, they kneel the ball. The Niners have to go out and kneel the ball one more time. I'm just going to count that as another Mike McCarthy being a bozo at the end of the game, because kneeling the ball on 4th and 18 with 11 seconds to go, knowing that the Niners offense has to come back on the field. I don't know. I'm trying to find as many ways to embarrass Dallas with this game because I've heard a lot of who have the Niners played? Who have the Niners played? Who have the Niners played? Dallas got the same treatment as well. Fairly got the same treatment as well. And then Chris Collinsworth on Sunday Night Football openly talked about whether or not the Niners were just this good or the Dallas Cowboys were overrated. And that is phenomenal content. That
the 49ers still haven't played anybody.
Yeah, that's it.
Look, I don't care. Look, at this point. And this is kind of when Andrew was bringing up the explosive play rate and and I'm just like, Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, they haven't been tested. at all. And Trevon Diggs being there on the field wasn't going to save them from what happened.
No.
So let's throw that one out.
Mm-hmm.
The Dallas Cowboys don't know who they are. They try to tell you that there's someone else, but they can't prove it. Have the 49ers ever walked out there and been like, the bullies get bullied where we're from and we do that? Show me better than you can tell me. And all week I have been saying to Andrew, this Cowboys organization, their players, none of them are moving like they're confident that they're going to win this game. No, in no shape, form, or fashion.
All the way up to them arriving at the stadium with their defensive coordinator wearing an all-black suit.
Well, you say it.
I don't understand why a defensive coordinator is bringing so much attention to himself, and then his defense gives up 42. That's my thing. You make the obvious one.
Yeah, I know. I was saving it for you, but he wore black because he knew they were about to get buried.
Yeah.
And when do we start blaming Dan Quinn for 28-3 and not Kyle Shanahan since he was the head coach? That's a whole argument for another day.
Probably since that game ended.
It's a whole other argument for another day. I've never heard of an offensive coordinator who gets blamed more for a Super Bowl loss than Kyle Shanahan. Nobody ever says anything about any other offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn's a defensive mind. Why didn't you stop them? Anyway.
Yeah. Look, so let's go into it. Let's go position. We got a donation. Thank you. Lockurius, if I mispronounced that, I'm sorry. To paraphrase someone, super chat on Vish and Coach's podcast last night. Brock Purdy is the final stone in Kyle's Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the quarterback spot here in about 3 seconds. So we're gonna give all the praise to Brock Purdy. But Jason Aponte, I wanna make a reference to something for those of you who are around in 2020. When everything wasn't great, Jason and I had this little segment we did called Say Something Positive About the 49ers. This is about to be an hour long, say something positive about the 49ers because there isn't much negative to say. We start at the quarterback position. Brock Purdy, 17 for 24, 252, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack. Jason, I know there was a lot of speculation to whether or not Brock Purdy was top 23 quarterback last week. There was a lot of talk about that. A lot of talk about whether Brock Purdy is really him, things like that. I think we all need to say it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Brock Purdy's a very good NFL quarterback, and there's no other way to get around it. Maybe top 10, maybe teasing into that top 7 area. Let's get real feisty with it. We'll talk about the other guys here in a minute. We'll get to that at the very, very end because very fun movie. We watched it. Brock Purdy, man, he's 7 to 10 on passes deeper than 10 plus yards. He looks the part. He's making the throws. I believe it was the Skip Bayless talking about the rainbow passes. I don't care about the rainbow passes as long as they're floating over defenders' arms and landing safely into 49ers players. They could look awkward. I don't care. I don't know if I can be any more complimentary to Brock Purdy after this performance than just saying he's a very good NFL quarterback, and it's time for people to realize it.
Well, speaking of rainbow passes, Deshaun Gibson was gifted an interception on a rainbow pass that Dak Prescott, Brandon Cooks is running past Fred Warner, regardless of whatever you hear. We'll talk
about that in a minute. When we get to linebackers, we'll talk about that.
No, hold on. But Brandon Cooks ran past him, and he threw the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
No, look, it's past the point of the weapons, the playmakers.
Yes.
If anybody could have walked in here and been the quarterback for the 49ers, it would have been Nick Mullins. It would have been CJ Beathard. It would have been Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say. And you know what? I guess the only way for me to make another joke is I still need to see Brock Purdy against a real defense because I haven't seen it yet.
No, man. And Dallas made some choices last night that we'll talk about when we get to offensive line. But I guess the best way I could put it, Jason, is NinersNation.com. You and I both write for it. Don't know if people knew it. I made Brock Purdy a winner, obviously, the performance. And this is go read the whole article. I think it's pretty good. Actually, one of my winners was a prolate spheroid. I don't even know how to say it, but the shape of the football came in clutch for the 49ers last night. But my little opening blurb on Brock Purdy, let's all say it together. Brock Purdy is good. Yes, he has all the weapons he could ask for. Yes, he is in a system with Kyle Shanahan scheming wide open receivers on every pass play. Those qualifiers might be valid, but Purdy has this offense working like none of the previous 5 quarterbacks under Shanahan. And that's the best way. Because I mean it in the nicest way. I love you, Jimmy Garoppolo, but I saw a tweet. Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback. The Niners have 8 field goals last night. And I know it's a little dramatic to say, but it's hard not to think that, because I can think of a Sunday night game last year where the Niners defense held the opposing team to 9 points. The opposing team won 11-10 because 2 of those points were by Jimmy Garoppolo. And it's things like that. It's when the defense has a game where they're holding a very good offense, allegedly a very good offense. We're going to throw the word allegedly out with the Cowboys to 10 points. I feel like with previous quarterbacks, we would be talking about, the offense, 23 points, just enough. We feel good. No, the Niners put up 42 and left no doubt in anybody's mind. Brock Purdy is quarterback 1 in San Francisco. Ideally, he is for the next 50 years. I mean, with how medicine's advancing, he could give us 50 years. But that's where I'm at. I know people might want a longer Brock Purdy conversation, but that's where I'm at. That full stop. Brock Purdy's very good. Let's just end it there.
Brock Purdy's very good. Period. That's it. And thank God. He every single game is crushing Kirk Cousins to San Francisco. Every single game, he's crushing that. That's not going to happen now at this point.
I haven't thought of it. I like to, you know me, I like to throw text messages out of just random fleeting thoughts I have that are obviously jokes. I haven't even had my joking, like, Kirk Cousins coming next year. I haven't had that thought in a month. It's not even a sarcastic thought. It just doesn't exist.
Well, I saw a report from a fake page that I want to believe is real, just so it can support a narrative of mine, that Justin Jefferson wants to follow Kirk Cousins wherever he goes. And the 49ers are one of those teams. Yeah. So if Kirk Cousins wants to come be a backup, and we get Justin Jefferson as well, too. Hey, fake report. I want to believe. So, please keep putting that into the stratosphere.
I like that. Niners are really good at hypothetical quarterbacks, because I think I saw something like Caleb Williams allegedly wants to play for the Niners, which you think I guess he wants the label of just Shanahan's so good. How can you be a good quarterback? I don't know, man. Hey, Jason, let's go to the running attack. And for you sickos out there that want to see Christian McCaffrey have less carries, this is your little formula. Jordan Mason leads the way on the ground, 10 carries for 69 nice yards. With a touchdown, long run of 26, a play where Trent Williams and George Kittle opened up a gap. Christian McCaffrey, just kind of a boring 19 for 51, 2.7 yards per carry, extended his touchdown streak. Got that early rushing touchdown where Aaron Banks punched Jonathan Hankins, and that was kind of the metaphor for the game. We'll talk about the trenches here in a little bit, Jason Aponte. Deebo Samuel, 5 carries for 30, TDP 6 for 21. Listen, as I said, I'm very against not giving Christian McCaffrey carries. I want Christian McCaffrey to take every carry he can. But when Jordan Mason's is tearing 6-7 yards per, you have a little bit of an argument. And so that's what you need to see out of a second running back in order for Christian McCaffrey to see less carries.
Oh, and let's not get it twisted. The 49ers broke Dallas's spirit. Yes. And they gave up. They gave up in that game. They just gave up. And I think that's more damning than the score. Because that score can still be justified with strong play. But Dallas folded like a cheap suit. Mm-hmm. And that happens when you always say, well, we're tough. It's like that the bully on the playground. I'm tough. Don't mess with me. I'm tough. Until the little quiet kid who's really about it punches you in the mouth and takes your lunch money. The Dallas Cowboys look like that sort of bully all the time. Stop telling everybody you're like that. Stop telling everybody that you're tough. You're not. Stop telling everybody that you're close. You're not. You're closer now to the Seattle Seahawks than you are the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are here.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles are here.
Mm-hmm.
You're here.
Yeah.
And you know why that is? Because you got cocky beating up on bad teams. The 49ers did exactly what they were supposed to do against those bad teams. But they didn't say we're the best defense in the world. We're the best offense in the world. They took care of business. There is a clear difference in the way that both of these teams handle their business. One handles their business. One talks about their business. Yeah. Two completely different things. That's why you saw the large discrepancy. And everyone now is talking about, wow, the Dallas Cowboys are not only not a Super Bowl contender. I looked at their schedule, Andrew Pasquini. Mm-hmm. Seattle, Philly, Bills, Dolphins, week 13 through 17. The Dallas Cowboys might not make the playoffs, let alone be a Super Bowl contender. Yeah, that is gross.
They might have to play perfect football up into because they've already got 2 losses in the bank. One they arguably shouldn't have because I know we talked about how upstart Arizona has looked, but losing to Arizona with a team allegedly as good as the Dallas Cowboys is never a good look. Jason, there's a little podcast that I listen to. It's called the 49ers Bully Ball Podcast. I don't know if you've heard of it, but that's pretty much what the 49ers did yesterday. Is they bully balled the Dallas Cowboys. As I said, we're going to talk about the trenches here in a minute. I want to give that a good portion of this podcast because that's where this game was won. So I don't want to talk too much about it. I just want to shout out Jordan Mason for his big performance because that's just it's what the Niners need. He's running back 3 given an opportunity because running back 2 can't get on the field. So what does he do? He takes that opportunity and he shines with it to a point now where maybe we need to start asking if maybe Jordan Mason should just be running back 2 at this point because it seems like Jordan Mason, when he gets carries, more often than not, he's getting yards. So we'll see how that transpires throughout the week with Elijah Mitchell's recovery. The Niners have the Browns on Sunday, so we'll see what it looks like. Jason, let's go to the receiving yards. Let's go to the receiving. I said in my article yesterday that the Niners kind of lull you to sleep with Christian McCaffrey's 4 touchdown games and Deebo Samuel kind of doing everything and Brandon Ayuk having 150-yard games that you kind of forget that there's this dude named George Kittle on the 49ers as well. And he, after having 1 target for 1 reception last week, has 4 targets, 3 receptions, 67 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jason Aponte, I believe you told the good people to take the higher on George Kittle half of a touchdown on Friday. That ended up being
40 and a half too.
A pretty good number to take. Talk about George Kittle because it feels like every week we're talking about a new weapon, and this week it just feels like George Kittle was the forgotten guy, and he had the big game that pretty much won the game for the Niners.
Primetime George Kittle is something different. I believe it's 80-plus yards in his last 4 primetime games. That 40 and a half receiving prop was super low. He had 95 in the divisional game against the Dallas Cowboys. This is the thing, is McCaffrey's always the mainstay, but you have a game where George Kittle pops off and he gets 3 catches and all 3 of them are touchdowns. Next week might be Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
The week after that might be Brandon Ayuk. It's just with the way that the 49ers threaten you at all 3 levels with their playmakers, there's no way to slow them down unless they are beating themselves with either penalties or just turning the football over. And that's not me being like a 49ers homer, right? You want to stop the run? Cool. We'll throw it over the linebacker's head. You want to play intermediate? Cool. We'll throw it over your head. It's Brock Purdy has given them a juice to this offense that they haven't known. Because with Jimmy, unfortunately, and I can't wait to watch him play football today, and that's the reason that we're doing this podcast so early is because I'm going to a bar to watch Jimmy Garoppolo play football, and I cannot wait. But Jimmy never threatens you at all 3 levels. Brock Purdy does. And this offense does. All these weapons do. Take 1 away, there's 2 there. You can't take all 3 away. And the only way the 49ers lose games is if they're beating themselves. Unless they're fumbling the football, turning the ball over. This game should have been way worse. Way worse. Christian McCaffrey fumbles at the 1. You'll never see that again. You'll never see that again.
No.
All of those things are the reason that 49er fans should be excited. Whatever you want to try to commit to taking away, there's an answer for. Mm-hmm. And it starts with the quarterback. Being able to make Brock Purdy's best throw didn't even count in this game. Didn't even count. It was a dot to Brandon Ayuk on an over that was called back on Spencer Burford. It's just name the flaw. Show me the flaw. What's the flaw? And before you explain, because I do wholeheartedly believe this. The 49ers still haven't played a good team yet. I do wholeheartedly believe this. I'm not joking around. Dallas is just not like that. And now the discussion is, what do we do with Dak Prescott? Well, you're in trouble now, pal, because you paid for him or whatever. And Cooper Rush, maybe that's why you brought Trey Lance in, whatever it is, whatever. But where's the flaw? Is it the passer? No. Is it the running game? No. Is it the defense running the ball against them? No. Is it the secondary? No. None of that. None of it is the flaw. Where's the flaw? That's the best part about this team. Is objectively, as a 49er fan, you can look and say, where's the flaw? And you're not being a homer. No one sees the flaw either. That's the best part.
Yeah, no, it's fun. And just to kind of give context to George Kittle's game yesterday, last season, in week 9, he didn't have a multi-touchdown game yet. He finished the game against the Chargers, 2 targets, 1 reception. He followed the next week with 2 touchdowns before having 3 more multi-touchdown games. Last week, 1 target, 1 reception, follows this week with 3. It feels like Kyle Shanahan kind of like makes you forget George Kittle exists with the previous week game not using him, and then he torches them. The Dark Willow, to Jason's point, who is the first good team they play? I mean,
Philly?
Are we going all the way? Because I mean, here, are we just going to lay it out from this point
Cleveland,
on?
No.
At Cleveland, at Minnesota, no.
Nope.
Cincinnati, we'll revisit in 2 weeks. We'll see what Cincinnati looks like in 2 weeks. There's just so much going on, guys. ADHD, I can't do the balloons.
It's a YouTube. So for the people that are on the YouTube app, you press the button and it goes and it jumps on the screen.
It just throws me off so much. At Jacksonville, we'll see where Jacksonville is within a few weeks. We'll see where they are. Versus Tampa Bay, no. At Seattle, no. At Philadelphia, there you go. Versus Seattle. At Cardinals. Versus Baltimore and Christmas, yes. Maybe. We'll see where we're at on Christmas.
If their receivers can catch passes, because everybody's blaming Lamar Jackson as if that's the reason that their team lost yesterday. Watch the game.
And then at Washington versus the Rams. So maybe 4 for sure 1 at this point. But Philly. Like here's the thing, man.
Deshaun Watson's not even cleared to play yet. Kevin Stefanski today.
Yes.
Today. Said he has no updates on Deshaun Watson and has no idea whether he will play on Sunday.
Yeah. And like here, my thing is, it's like the Niners' week schedule isn't even their fault. They were in first place last year. It's not the Niners' fault.
They don't have a week schedule.
The Vikings stink.
It's not the Niners. Schedule. They're really good.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's not even a week schedule. The Niners are just good at this point. Jason, just to kind of clean up the rest of the receiver numbers, Ayuk 4 for 58, Samuel 3 for 55. Juszczyk had a receiving touchdown. He went 4 for 26. Juwan Jennings also had 1 for 19. Ray McLeod 1 for 1. Jason, let's get into it. This is the part of the podcast where I want to dive into offensive line leaking into the Niners defensive line. Brock Purdy wasn't sacked, or he was sacked once, a loss of 2 more of a coverage sack. If you go through the 49ers pass protection numbers, Aaron Banks, 3 pressures, Colton McKivitz, 3 pressures, Brendel, 1 pressure, Williams, 1 pressure, Burford, 1 pressure. Dallas just couldn't get anything going. And the thing that I think I was most excited to look for today when the PFF numbers came out, because I noticed on the first 3 snaps of the game, Micah Parsons lined up over Colton McKivitz. And I said, oh, that makes sense. Take advantage of Colton McKivitz, Jason Aponte. Then the next 3 or 4 plays on the same opening drive, he switched over to Trent Williams, and I said that's mighty interesting that Dan Quinn or Micah Parsons, whoever makes that decision of what side he lines up on, isn't taking the Colton McKivitz route. They're taking the Trent Williams route. And then I noticed kind of more and more throughout the game that 11's lining up over 71 quite a bit. Jason Aponte, Micah Parsons had 30, oh my goodness, I can't do math, 37 snaps on the left side of the 49ers offense, 19 snaps on the right side. He took about 65% of his snaps against Trent Williams. He didn't do much. And me saying he didn't do much might be too nice. He didn't do anything. I didn't notice him other than when he would line up against Trent Williams. I mentioned earlier Aaron Banks punched Jonathan Hankins in the face. That was kind of a metaphor for what the 49ers offensive line did to the Dallas Cowboys all night. The Niners averaged 4 yards a carry, but they didn't feel like they really had a big run until Jordan Mason's big run at the end of the game. The Niners offensive line beat the shit out of the Dallas Cowboys defensive line. There's no better way to say it, Jason Aponte.
Yeah, and the Browns game isn't a trap. If you think this 49ers team is gonna just lay down and just like forget that, no, then you're not paying attention. I don't think that's a trap at all. And if Deshaun Watson does not play, pray for Dorian Thompson, whatever
DTR.
the hell is the preseason darling. Because again, Kevin Stefanski came out today and said he wasn't sure if Deshaun Watson's playing football. So that's not a trap. That should be a win. The offensive line was great in this game. There was a clear plan. They understood. This has always kind of been my contention. Two things. One, it's a chance that this line gels and they just get better, particularly on the right side. I don't think we have many concerns on the left side, even though Aaron Banks unfortunately hurt his bicep in this game. Sounds like it's not too crazy, anything like that. But again, knock on wood, we'll hope that happens. No, that is not what Kevin Stefanski said today. Like, stop talking about the Browns. He literally said today he has no idea whether he's going to play. Like, stop. Anyway, and even if he does, he hasn't been good anyway, so who cares? But with the offensive line, Cole McKivitz has a better game. And you always have the contention that Kyle Shanahan is going to game plan around it. Kyle Shanahan is not going to look at the offensive line against the defensive line. Okay, it's Belichick talk. Kevin Stefanski, Belichick. Well, if he's talking like Belichick, then they're going to get blown out by 30 because he's not a good coach apparently either. I don't understand why you're hyping up the Browns. No one's scared of them, and that's not a trap game for the Niners. But the thing is it's not like Kyle Shanahan's going to look over and say, who's that 11 guy? We've never looked at him before. Why? Like, oh, who is he? Like, we've never seen him. There's always a game plan. There's always a plan to do things. Like, they went right at him. And they actually took care of business when it comes to that. So there's two things that could be possible. One is it was a great game plan. And the game plan was so effective that it wiped out one of the best defensive players in the league, the guy who was number one in pressure rate. Or two, the offensive line is gelling a little bit and they're getting better, right? Like, and it's possible that Cole McKivitz is getting better. So look, Cole McKivitz passed test 1, right? And I concur with Andrew. I'm not Dan Quinn. I'm not a defensive coordinator, but I would love to just say, hey, listen, that guy at left tackle, he's a Hall of Famer. Maybe let's put you on the other side and set you against that other guy. That's the part that I don't really understand. And I'm shocked that Dan Quinn didn't realize that because I think we all expected that.
And it's just weird too, because he played 32 snaps on the right side of who they beat last week. Was that the Jets? No, that wasn't the Jets. Whoever they beat New England. He played 32 snaps on the right side of New England's defense last week. So like, it's not like, oh, we only play him on one side. They rotate him. It's just, I guess they decided they like the Trent Williams matchup better. I don't know why they would, but yeah, it feels like the same story as last year, where we kind of talked about the offensive line as being a concern for this team, and I think the offensive line was better than what they excuse me, I lost the train of thought there. They played better than they thought. There we go. I got it back, Jason. I promise. I'm a podcaster, know what I'm doing. They played better than what people thought they were going to do in entering the season. We're seeing that again this year. There was a lot of questions on this offensive line, even though Colton McKivitz was the only new piece. And everybody thought Mike McGlinchey was bad, so wouldn't you want him replaced anyway? But now Colton McKivitz is here, and this line is worth. So to me, I think the offensive line conversation has always been overhyped. Yes, there's going to be some people don't realize the Eagles had a generational pass rush last year that they do not have this year. That may be why the Niners offensive line looked not good against them last year. I'm not too worried about the offensive line at this point.
CJ Gray says they literally installed a new play during the same day as the game. That's been in the playbook.
I'm assuming we're talking about the double reverse.
The double reverse throw. Yeah. So I want to set the scene for 49ers fans so we can just like knock this off. And this has nothing to do with CJ Gray. Like, honestly, man, I know you've been in here before. This is more to just kind of set the record straight. So the San Francisco 49ers have the biggest game of the week, probably of the year, on Sunday Night Football.
Yes.
And Kyle Shanahan's laying on the couch watching NFL Red Zone, and he sees the Detroit Lions run a play, and he says, "Man, I game planned all week. I came up with a script. I have all my plays in succession. You know what, man? We've never run that before, and we've never practiced it before. Let's
run it today.
Let's just throw it in there. Let's draw it up in the sand and throw it."
There's no way Trey Lance knows this play. How could he tell it to Mike McCarthy? You know, I just came up with it now.
I just think it's really funny, man. It's the idea that Kyle Shanahan was watching NFL Red Zone at 10 a.m. and saw the Lions run that play and wrote it down, like drew it up, like right there, and then he walked in and he wrote it on the board and said, "This is when we're gonna run this."
Texted the group chat that morning. Guys, we need to get together. New play. No.
Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is an offshoot of Sean McVay. It's all in everybody's playbook. Everybody's got that. Like, I just thought that was the funniest thing ever, because people are just like implying that Kyle Shanahan is like sitting like a bozo before like the biggest game of the year on his couch eating chips. Like, it's just like, oh, that'll be cool. Like, I just picture him being like George Costanza in Seinfeld, where he's sitting on the couch with like mad chips all over his, and he was just like, "Wait a minute, that's what we're gonna add in." It's been there. It's been in this offense. Beast Mode Gaming. I called Norton for fraud report from Dallas. They said they have the best defense and offense, but actually they are trash. Stop the cap, Dallas. I love where your head's at. Linoa, 49ers SB 2023. Let's go. It feels like something special's happening.
Feels like so. I tweeted that. The 49ers feel special team. Jason, halfway point. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe to Jason Aponte's YouTube channel. 134 people watching right now. Make sure you like this video, subscribe. Sprint Right Option Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, at Spotify, Apple, Google, all that stuff. Make sure you go do that. Defensive side of the ball, Jason Aponte, the Cowboys offensive line. They might have played their first game together since 2021. And dare I say, Jason Aponte, they looked a little rusty. 18 pressures allowed against the 49ers defensive line. Nick Bosa leads the way. Tell me if you've heard that one before. With 7 pressures, he gets half a sack. Kevin Givens gets in on the fun with a sack of his own. Eric Armstead has a half a sack as well. Niners defensive line is good. Javon Hargrave has absolutely opened up this defensive line. And oh, by the way, Jason, don't know if you heard about it. Randy Gregory, he is on his way. He's actually in the building. Despite what reports said of him maybe playing on Sunday, he was never in the building. He's here today. Niners defensive line is going to get better. Dak Prescott never felt comfortable, Jason Aponte. Do you feel comfortable with how uncomfortable Dak Prescott was yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Very. 7 pressures, 3 quarterback hits, 3 hurries, a sack. Nick Bosa's fine. Eric Armstead, hooping. Javon Hargrave, not really seen from, but Javon Kinlaw, while he had no pressures, was one of the highest graded pass rushers. Yeah, they're fine. They're absolutely fine. Randy Gregory is going to add another speed element. Drake Jackson was obviously injured. You saw him for limited snaps, unfortunately. That was the only thing that was kind of a bummer, that and the Aaron Banks thing. But, yeah, I mean, for all the talk about Dallas for 600 days, we haven't had our offensive line all together. Who fucking cares? Who cares? Who cares? Because you got them all together, and what happened? The pocket collapsed all the time. Get it out of here, man. I don't care. The pass rush is fine. Great Fox with the donation. Orlovsky said Mac Jones would be better than Purdy. Yes, yeah. Would be for our audience.
I like the descriptor. I like that descriptor, though. That's funny.
It is funny. Mac Jones would be better than Purdy with Shanahan. Man, the disrespect of Purdy is awful. And Rex Ryan almost lost his mind today, pushing back on that. Because right before he said that, he said that Brock Purdy reminds him of Joe Montana. And I want to shy away from those things. But there's no way that you're going to say that Mac Jones is going to be playing better than Brock Purdy to Rex Ryan after Rex Ryan proclaims something like that. And, it was pretty funny to see. But, yeah.
The 49ers defense as a whole, too, by the way. I meant to say this before we talked about the defensive line. Dallas had 8 first downs, 197 yards, 4 yards per play. Dallas had as many turnovers as yards they averaged per play. Think about that. Just really a dominated game for this Niners defense. They won the time of possession battle 37-23. Just a fully dominating performance. A big part of that dominating performance, and Jason, please give me about 5 minutes here to explain this. Fred Warner and all the numbers that he put in the stat book yesterday. We're moving on to the linebackers. Is that a chicken tent? Did Jason just casually pull out a chicken tendy?
A nugget.
Jason eating some chicken nuggies. I love it. Fred Warner's stat sheet. 8 tackles, 5 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass deflection, 1 quarterback hit, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble. Oh, and by the way, Jason, did I mention Dre Greenlaw also had 5 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, a pass deflection, and a quarterback hit? Oh, and did I also mention that Orton Burks hit an interception as well? Emmanuel Achos mentioned yesterday about how Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the NFL. Niner fans have known that for a while. He is very good, and that's really the only thought. I feel bad. This is such a weird podcast for me because I want to give you guys deep, incisive thoughts about what the 49ers are and what they did yesterday, but my brain just keeps spitting out, this 49ers player is good, and that's all you need to know about him, and that's kind of the case with Fred Warner. The play of the game, I don't know. Which one do you think is the more impressive play, the forced fumble or the interception? Because I thought the interception, the way he kind of cut back in the middle of the field to get back to that. The fumble, man, I don't know how that ball stayed in bounds.
Because God hates the Dallas Cowboys?
God hates the Dallas Cowboys. I as I said, I already forgot the word. I had the article up and I've lost it. The spheroid, the type of spheroid the ball is shaped like. Did you know that's actually the shape of a pig's bladder, which is what a football used to be made out of? And that's how we get the oblong shape. That's really the only explanation I have of how that ball stayed in bounds.
Yeah. I thought for sure it hit somebody.
It had to have.
Yeah.
It had to have.
And it's like, I got a message from somebody who was at the game, and it's like, are you watching on TV? And I said, yeah. He goes, did that touch anybody? I said, it didn't. He was like, how? And I was like, I have no idea. But you know what sucks is, unfortunately, Christian McCaffrey has the fumble right after. But Fred Warner's incredible. And I think we'll go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say Christian McCaffrey had the fumble right after. Dallas, the next drive was ended by a Fred Warner sack. Niners took that punt for a touchdown. So there you go.
Yeah. So we're at the point in the discussion, and it's definitely time to talk about Fred Warner and his place in the linebacker hierarchy in 49ers history. Mm-hmm. Is he better than Pat? And then that's a discussion we need to start having. Mm-hmm. We need to start having that.
Yeah.
Whether you agree or not, whether you think he is or he's not, the fact that we're even having that discussion is really where it's at. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that the fact we're having the conversation is all you need to know as Jason goes and eats another chicken dendy. He knows it's distracting. He knows it distracts me, but that's okay. No, I like chicken tendies. No, but the fact that we're even having the conversation that Patrick Willis and Fred Warner are in this same tier is amazing. I mean, as I said, I think the thing that we kind of saw, Aaron, thanks for the nation because God hates the Cowboys, exactly as Jason said. We've seen him improve something every year. As a rookie, he was a natural tackler. Then he got better in pass coverage. Then he got better at pass rushing. And now he's just all over the place on the field. And like, okay, here's my little spiel. Only negative portion on the podcast. Here we go. You ready, Jason LaPonte? Fred Warner is so fucking good at football. We do not need to lie about how he was step for step with Brandon Cooks. Yes, he was downfield with him. He was in the zip code. He was in the zip code of Brandon Cooks. But he got beat. The throw was out of bounds. Nobody cares. It didn't hurt anybody. He's very good in pass coverage, but we don't need to lie about how close he was to Brandon Cooks. Is that fair, Jason? Is that fair to say?
No comment.
No comment. That's what Jason Aponte says. So that's all I got. Fred Warner's good. It's time to start talking to him about a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I don't think All-Pro Fred's enough. We won't be talking until the tweet I'm trying to get going is Fred D. Poi Warner. Hard to say, easier to type.
No, look. All right. But Oren Burks, man. Oren Burks. I think again, like against personnel that he needs to be in base, he's actually been quite a find. And I think we all just assumed he would be a special teamer. But whenever he's put in a spot like that, he's always producing. Whether it's with tackles, whether it's with plays like that, like Oren Burks deserves some shine. Like, look, when you come out in 11, then obviously Oren Burks isn't going to be on the field. You're going to see a little bit more of Isaiah Oliver, which I'm sure this is where we're going to next as a secondary. But Oren Burks, man, to be somebody who is put on the team as kind of a special teams guy, he just contributes whenever he's on the field on defense, man. I want to give him some love as well too.
Yeah, Oren Burks is okay, and it's just always good to see, like especially when a game's like that, and it's numbers you're not used to seeing making an impact play, and that's good to see Oren Burks make that play. Jason, you mentioned Mr. Isaiah Oliver, so let's go to that secondary. I tweeted a meme, Jason, that I felt like should have gotten more attention. I'm going to say it verbally here. Things you can find in Isaiah Oliver's pocket. And then I posted a picture of car keys, a wallet, a phone, and then CeeDee Lamb. Listen, CeeDee Lamb, I know Isaiah Oliver gave up the touchdown. I understand it. I get that. CeeDee Lamb took 22 snaps out of the slot yesterday. He had 4 receptions for 49 yards. The 29-yard reception came out wide against Charvarius Ward. Isaiah Oliver, as I said, I understand he had the touchdown, but we just kind of closed the book of, we mentioned Micah Parsons against Colton McKivitz. We didn't see that matchup much. And then we also mentioned CeeDee Lamb against Isaiah Oliver. I don't know the exact numbers. I think it was 2 receptions for like 12 yards when CeeDee Lamb lined up against Isaiah Oliver. Isaiah Oliver held CeeDee Lamb to pretty much nothing.
Well, as you saw early on in the game, and this is kind of what we talked about, it's not just a one-of-one thing where you're just going to leave Isaiah Oliver on CeeDee Lamb. They literally were running bracket with Tashawn Gibson. I also do want to point out something else. CeeDee Lamb's not happy with Dak Prescott. If you watch at times, and, now that the game's over, you can casually look on the sideline and look at CeeDee Lamb and where he is in proportion to where Dak is, right? There's no talking to each other, right? Like if Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen are having issues, they're close to each other. They're talking. If other receivers, CeeDee Lamb is fed up. He does not like where this offense is going. And you look at the production and you realize that there's a guy that is uber talented. One of them is, and that's CeeDee Lamb, and he's not getting the love that he deserves. And who does that get thrown onto? Is it the play calling? Maybe. Is it the quarterback? It's more about that more than anything. But the Isaiah Oliver touchdown was that was great matchup, like that was just a poor matchup for him in the slot, right? Like you get Turpin moving already. And I think if you guys know anything about secondary play, you guys are following Eric Crocker. But Croc said, as a slot guy, as a secondary guy, when you see a guy moving, you're automatically trying to step back because you want, and then you think about down in situation, 3rd and 4. So you think, okay, he's gonna run a hitch. I want to be a little bit closer, and you're trying to read him. You're trying to read him down. But the problem is by the time you're trying to read him down, he's already run past you, and he's already not fast. So for everybody who's just like, oh my God, Olive, that's a tough position to be in, one way or another. That's the one time Dallas did something right. And then what happened? Turpin gets injured, and then you've got guys on the outside that don't have juice. Cooks, clearly, I don't know what happened to Brandon Cooks and his running. I don't know what happened. It's not there. Michael Gallup doesn't have that juice, and CeeDee Lamb doesn't have that juice. So, like, if you want to kill Isaiah Oliver for it and you just want to, like, pick on him because he was the lone guy who got beat in this game, okay. But that was the one time that two things were true. One, Dallas did something right on offense and put a matchup that they got that was advantageous. And two, Dak threw an absolute dime. That was his best throw of the night. After that, everything else was just whatever. So it's not that concerning for me.
Yeah, it's not. The way I look at it is Dallas had one play out of 50 work last night.
Yeah.
And I'll take that. It sucks that it had to be Isaiah Oliver getting beat, but I thought Isaiah Oliver was very solid yesterday, especially considering CeeDee Lamb's across from him. Deommodore Lenoir had a pass breakup that led to the interception for Fred Warner. The Cowboys just couldn't get anything going offensively, and I think, Jason, we talked about it a little bit. Niners, oh no, there's the 16th most passing yards in the league. Oh no. Can we put that one to rest too now?
Yeah.
Can we just
I thought we did.
Yeah, we did. We officially. I still have concerns about the depth because this secondary is one injury away from maybe having some concerns, but we're knocking on wood. We're going to stay positive on that. Jason, final thoughts before we get out of here, or before we get to 3 stars. And this is really Andrew just testing how good of a mood Jason Aponte is. Are the 49ers, like, do they have sneaky good specialists? Because Mitch Wishnowsky, 66% of his punts this season have gone inside the 20-yard line. Okay, so he's not in that good. I was testing how good of a mood Jason Aponte was in. His hand is in his face, his hand palm. We're going to skip over the special teams.
I don't care.
Okay, I was just testing how good of a mood we were in today, but that's okay. Jason, we're feeling good. 42-10. Smile. I like it. 42-10. They beat the Cowboys 32 points. Jason, 3 stars. You ready?
Let's do it.
3 stars. Oh man. See, this is one of those games where it's really hard to pick 3 stars because there's about 14 people you can choose from. I'm going to go Brock Purdy. I'm going to go George Kittle. 3 receptions, 67 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's my 3rd star because there's other people that I have to pick, and I guess only 3 receptions. If that's the negative I have to find in a 3 touchdown game, it worked. I'm gonna go George Kittle, my 3rd star for his 3 touchdown game.
I'm gonna go with George Kittle as the 3rd star as well too.
Okay.
I think that's absolutely true, and it's good to see him. Primetime games, you can almost count on it. So yeah, George Kittle, 3rd star. Nice to see you, buddy. By the way, very nice shirt under your 49ers jersey that you were brandishing after the game. Shout out to Alex Tran, who was the one who gave it to him of Niners Nation. Alex Tran was the one who gave George Kittle that jersey, that shirt to wear that was talked about today on Pat McAfee. Shout out to him, man. It's getting national attention. Shout out to Alex, man. He's a good dude.
We love that, and fuck Alex. Number 2 star, Brock Purdy. I'm asking that as a question because now I'm curious to see if we have the same 3 stars.
We don't.
Brock Purdy 17. Ooh, we don't. Brock Purdy 17 for 24, 252, 4 touchdowns. He is him. Brock Himmy. That's all I got. He looked really good last night. He was chucking the ball all over the place, taking deep shots all which ways. Yes, he has the advantage of having a lot of weapons. Yes, he's in a Shanahan offense, but he makes the car go hum, I guess. I don't know cars, Jason. Jason, who's your 2 star?
It's Fred Warner. And it's Fred Warner because he's been incredible in this game. He's, sack, forced fumble, and interception in the same game. I think that's like one of the first times in a long time. I don't know the exact stat, but
I want to say I saw a tweet that said Navarro Bowman was the last Niner to do that.
pretty good 49er.
So that gives you some
and
context.
yeah, and you know what? He's continuing my tradition of linebacker jerseys. 52, 53, 54. Shout out to you, Fred Warner. My second star.
My number 1 star is Fred Warner.
Okay.
Everything Jason said. Listen, he had back-to-back drives that he ended the Cowboys' possession. The sack, the forced fumble. He's all over the place. He is. See, like, this is where I want to get to this point. He's the best player on the defense. Like that's the point I want to say. Nick Bosa does exist in this defense. I think Fred Warner is not only the most important player on this defense, he is the best player on this defense. So I'm going to go Fred Warner as my number 1 star. I have a feeling we flip-flop Jason Aponte.
We did, and shout out to Spider Ombre. He's reading my mind. Brock Purdy, number 1 star. Look,
and definitely better than Mac Jones.
This was, yes, absolutely better than Mac Jones. This is the game that we looked at and we wanted to use as the litmus test. And I think the Cowboys wanted to do the same thing too. The problem is the Cowboys found out that this litmus test proved that they are not like that. The problem is for the 49ers is the litmus test proves that they are in fact like that, but still at the same time, I have to tell you that I don't think they really played a real team. But, you know, when you think about the fact that Micah Parsons, Lawrence, Hankins, you know, you've got Vander Esch, you've got a lot of players, you know, Deron Bland, who everybody loved, you know, is all over this defense. And when you think about the one time that people bring up bad things about Brock Purdy, it's not the Philly game because he never played in it. It was the Dallas game. And they'll always say, well, the Dallas game, he struggled and this happened and they were running this, even though you have no idea what they were running. They were running cover 1 robber. No, they weren't. Like, you know, like whatever. You're making up your narratives. But this was the time that he needed to show something, right, on the national stage. And he missed one throw. I feel like one throw. And Kyle Shanahan said it was the same thing. Brock Purdy, man, keep hooping on them and keep being humble, right? Don't listen to everything, but pay attention to everything, right? Like when Patrick Peterson says something, go up there and throw a passive-aggressive shot. I love it. Don't get into war of words, but you seem locked in. And Brock Purdy's my number 1 star, man. I don't know how you can play better through 5 games. I haven't seen a quarterback play like this through 5 games since Steve Young. Yeah. I'm sorry. I am sorry. And I know that might be hyperbole, but I never saw Jeff Garcia do this. And I remember it clearly. I'm old enough. I never saw Cap do this through 5 games. I never saw, Jimmy Garoppolo do this through 5 games. Brock Purdy's doing something that's very special.
And you mentioned the Jimmy Garoppolo through 5 games, those magical 5 games in 2017, Jason. And what was his numbers? Like 7 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in those 5 games. Like it's nothing. It's nothing compared. It's 6-5, nothing compared to what Brock Purdy's doing right now. Brock Purdy we haven't even mentioned that Brock Purdy hasn't thrown an interception this season yet. It's that stuff. So yeah, Jason, you're absolutely right. And for those of you who've said, oh, the Niners haven't played anybody. Yeah,
they haven't.
You know what? But the thing is what are you supposed to do against teams you're supposed to beat? You're supposed to beat them. And that's what the Niners did. So even if you don't agree that the Cowboys aren't at the level of the Niners treated them as such. And that's something that should be worth it because you saw this Dallas team struggle against Arizona. You've seen a Philadelphia team struggle against the not good Washington team.
Hey, the Rams played pretty well against Philly yesterday as well, too.
We need to have a conversation about maybe Philadelphia not being as impressive as we think because they've only played close games this year.
I'll still put them in the 5-0 category because they have at least earned that with the way that they played last year. But
absolutely, yeah. I'm not gonna say they're not in the realm of the Niners.
I certainly have Philly on upset watch, and I thought the Rams were actually gonna find a way to get that done on Sunday. But hey, they won.
Just to get the Niners. The Niners are 5-0. You know what their point differential is? 50. Or no, that's a lie. 99, you dummy. You know how to read. Do you know what the Philadelphia Eagles are at? 37. The Niners have outscored their opponents this season by Jason, we're just doing what we did with the Cardinals, but with like 8 teams. We are officially beginning the Week 13 Niners-Eagles preview in this moment. That's how far ahead we are with the schedule. Yeah, but Philadelphia actually has a lower point differential than the 4-1 Detroit Lions, and the Lions have a loss in there. So there you go. Maybe there's a question to be had about the Philadelphia Eagles, but we have plenty of time to ask that question. Right now, the biggest question we have to ask, at least according to one commenter in this chat, can the 49ers beat the Cleveland Browns? Yes, they can. We'll talk about that on Friday. Jason,
oh, no. The Cleveland Browns.
No.
Oh, no.
The Cleveland Browns. Oh my goodness. It's a trap game. Jason, do you have any final thoughts before you get up out of here on this beautiful Monday?
Nah, man. Fuck Dallas. They suck. We did it. This is gonna be a fun week. Usually I turn the page into the next week around like Monday or so. I am not taking my foot off the gas. And Dallas, if Dallas fans, if you think that this is the end, it is not. And you know what? I wouldn't expect it if it was the other way. It is not the end, and I'm not going to stop. I'm having too much fun. Yeah. I love Dallas Cowboys misery just as much as I love a cold beer on a hot Christmas morning. That's exactly how much I love shitting on the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm going to continue.
That's funny because I do like a hot beer on a cold Christmas.
A hot beer? No.
No, Jason. Yeah, man. It feels good to be a Niner fan. Enjoy this week, guys, because this wasn't just beating Dallas. This was ransacking the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, there was really no fight in Dallas. So we're feeling good. We'll be back on Friday to break down that all-important Browns game. Until then, Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners. Dallas.
How about them Cowboys?
Oof. Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.